So it's going to multiply $5 multiplied by the number of boxes sold. So if we sell 2 boxes, we're going to multiply 2 boxes times $5 because each box costs $5, and then we will get our total money earned. Okay? So now that we've got the situation, we understand the situation a little better, let's write down what our variables are. So our variables are going to be what is always changing in the situation, meaning we don't know what it is, but it could change. It's not going to stay a constant number. So here we have $5. This $5 is always going to be staying $5, right? The amount that each box costs doesn't change, but the total is going to change. The total changes, and the number of boxes sold changes. You may decide to buy 2 boxes. You may decide to buy 5 boxes. Okay, so those are the 2 things that will be changing. So we are going to give them letters. We're going to make them variables to stand for something that we don't know, but any number could stand in place for them. So I'm going to give number of boxes the letter B. B for number of boxes sold, but you could have picked any number. You could have picked S or N or X, any letter in the alphabet. And we are going to define our variable, so B equals number of boxes sold. Okay, now we are going to pick a letter for total amount of money earned. So for the total, I'm just going to pick T, but you could have, again, picked any number. So T equals total money. So these are my 2 variables that I'm going to be using. Now that we have our variables picked out from the situation, let's write our equation. Okay, so given this word problem, one of our learning targets are that we are able to write an equation. In our equation, we're going to have something on this side equals something on this side, right? An equation has an equal sign, and it's saying that this side equals this side, and they are balanced, okay? So in our equation, we are going to have these variables. And from the word problem, we know that the total money earned, so our variable T, total money earned, equals, so I'm going to write that down, total money, T, equals an equal sign, $5 times, so right there, $5, a 5 for $5 times, we know from previous lessons that times in math means multiply. So I know I'm going to be multiplying 5 times the number of boxes sold. And the number of boxes sold, we have B for that variable. So T equals 5 times B is our equation. So for any amount of boxes, B, I could have sold 3 boxes. I could do 5 times 3, and I would get my total money earned. Okay, this is a good way to write down your equation, but a lot of times in math, more often you're going to see the equation written like this. It usually doesn't have a multiplication sign in between because we also know that the letter next to a number with no operation in between means multiply. So this is our equation. All right, now that we have our equation, we can create a table. And in our table, we're going to have the independent and we are going to have the dependent variables. We talked about this a little earlier in the chapter. So our dependent variable, it depends on the independent variable. And the independent variable does not depend on any other variable or number, okay? The independent number is always going to be the x, right? Okay, so let's start our table here. So we're going to have the independent. This V stands for variable, so independent variable. We're going to have the dependent. So independent variable, dependent variable. And remember, this is our x and this is our y. Okay? The independent variable is our first. First, kind of like it does everything and it doesn't depend on anything else, right? So our independent variable is going to be b, because the number of boxes does not depend on the total money. The total cost, the total money, depends on how many boxes. If you buy 2 boxes, well, 5 times 2 is 10. If you buy 4 boxes, 5 times 4 is 20. So the total amount earned depends on how many boxes people buy. So we're going to say that b is the independent variable, our variable b, and t is our dependent variable, okay? So now I said previously that you always want to write down 0, 1, 2, and 3 for the first few of your x values, right, in a table. So 0, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to plug these values into our equation to see what the total amount of money is, total cost is, and to see what our dependent values are, our outputs. So if I put in 0 for b, 5 times 0 is just 0. If I put in 1 in our equation for b, 5 times 1 is just 5. If I put in 2 for b, 5 times 2 is 10. And if I put in 3 for b, 5 times 3 is 15. So our total cost is 15. So now that we have some values, let's write our ordered pairs. Okay, running out of room, so I kind of had to write it over here. Hopefully you have a little more room on your paper. You can write it on the side over there. So our ordered pairs, we're going to start over here. We always write our x first, then our y. So x comma y. So here's my first x. So 0 comma the y, which is 0. My next ordered pair, 1, 5. Next ordered pair, 2, 10. And 3, 15. Now that I have all my ordered pairs, I can go ahead and graph. Okay, so in my graph, I'm going to make sure that whatever I count by on the y-axis is going to be by the same amount. Every tick mark I make has to be the same value. Same with the x. So I'm going to count by 5s on the y. So here's 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, and I think I'm good. I think I can stop because my values over here don't go beyond 15. Now I'm going to do the same for the x. I'm going to count by ones. So here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I can stop there because my x values don't go beyond 3. Okay, so I'm going to start plotting these points. So my first point is at 0, 0. So this means the x is at 0, the y is at 0. Well, if I look over here, my x on the horizontal is right here for 0, and my y for the vertical is right here for 0. So my first point gets plotted right there. My next point, my next ordered pair, 1, 5, the x is 1. When x is 1, the y is 5. So I'm going to go up to 5. Next point, 2, 10. If I'm starting from my origin, I'm going to go to the right 2 and up to 10, which is going to be right over here. And then my last point, 3, 15. I'm going to go over 3 and up to 15. Okay, I've plotted all of my points. Now the very last step is to connect those points. You want to make sure you're using a ruler, and you should get a straight line. If you don't get a straight line, you might have done something differently. This is a large ruler, so if I can get this to work, I can maybe graph it. I don't think I can. So I'm doing the best I can. Make my line, make sure it's a straight line, and this is how you graph. So given an equation, if you're ever given an equation, you'll be able to make a table, ordered pair, and graph. Okay, this is what we were practicing on our worksheet yesterday, but today we were given a word problem. We had to define our variables, make an equation, then make a table. And if you're ever struggling with making your equation, try to make your table, okay? Start with making a table. It might be easier for you, and then you can go back and write your equation. If you have any questions, let me know.